So, social program goes well beyond just being a kind of a bit of fun. I mean, fun is good, but it isn't everything. It's stimulus of an academic, cultural nature as well.
Yeah, I'll be straight with this one. I think it's a balance, because I think if you come from a high-powered job and you've been in class all day, probably one-to-one, if you give somebody too much academic after work, they really have had enough.
Indigestion, yes.
Yeah, it's indigestion. So I think, for example, what I do is I balance it. So let's say I take them to Aldway Mansion, which was the house of Isaac Merritt Singer, famous for Singer sewing machines. So we drive along the coast, just the business crew, take a couple of bottles of wine in the bus, which I don't drink, and then we go into Aldway, leaving the wine behind us, and then I will tell them the story of this great business entrepreneur, Isaac Singer. And they've got a lovely little exhibition there. This is a gem of a place because it's based on the Palais of Versailles. And so we have that. And of course this was the man with his partner who started Hire Purchase, which obviously went on to the credit, the loans, etc. So if you do it gently like that, it doesn't seem so much that they're getting hard intellectual sort of background information, but they're getting a relaxed approach to it, and they after a hard day's lessons they want to relax a little bit. And then of course we drive along the seafront, stop, open the bottle of wine, and they all have a nice glass of wine.
Nevertheless, the fact is that you've also got some young students.
Nevertheless, we also have some young students, and as you said earlier, we have the volleyball, the barbecue, international food nights. And you'd be amazed, we do these international food nights where students prepare food, bring it to these lovely gardens, and they try food from different countries. And we get the business people to come as well. And they actually get a kick out of going down to the local supermarket, buying salami or French cheeses or breads, and then they join in, and always the next day when you go and say, you know, how was the evening? They say, oh, it was great.
The zoo offers an experience rather than just a spectator.
I think what it does also, it offers a surprise, because it's not just a zoo, it was an arboretum, and they've got a wonderful collection of plants and trees, and what I find is when students go there they realise it's a lovely setting. It's more like a park. And talking about parks, I mean, we still do our wonderful trips with Nick Watton onto Dartmoor. And so we do these great Dartmoor trips with our friendly guide Nick, and he takes our students up in our TIS school bus, and he takes small little groups, and this is where the business people come in, because a lot of business people have heard of Nick, and when they come from their companies they say, can we go with Nick to Dartmoor, the famous Nick? And of course they go on Dartmoor, and I'm lucky, you see, I've got all these places where people can go to, and so it's a joy. Cornwall's on our back doorstep. So this weekend we've got Tintagel and Boscastle. We've got a wonderful cliff walk, quite hard, 2.5 hours, but the Swiss and Germans love it because it's sort of hiking. If I'm trying to encourage them to go on a trip, maybe they don't want to go, and now they've got to tell me why and sort of persuade me why they're not going. So I'm trying to encourage them to use their language to go on a trip on Saturday and mix with other people, and they've got to explain to me why they're not going to go. So I think it does all flow. It all flows from the classroom out into the real world, Devon.
That's a pretty impressive link, I reckon, so well done. Oh, thank you very much. It's nice, that was nice, very nice.
Okay, so